Welcome to Timber&Terra. I'm Glenn, and this project is a little bit of carpentry, a little bit of excavation. So the plan here is to put a sort of a shed roof, lean-to if you will, against the back of the garage. When we put this addition on, that was my plan all along, just haven't got to it for 20 years or so for some reason. But here I actually put, I think there's some fabric underneath. I put gravel down, even though I have some pea stone, sort of a 2-foot border around the whole house with this pea stone. But obviously it's, to store stuff that's right now very just piled in a heap, in a mess. So I have some fencing posts, a couple wheelbarrows, some wire fencing, the blue pool at the end is just some trash I just need to take to the dump. But so this is going to store stuff like that, some outdoor toys for grandkids, which right now are stored just on the other side of the sandbox in an old decrepit storage shed, which is becoming engulfed with a tree there. That's no good, so that stuff's going to move here. We have snowmobiles that we'd like to keep under cover. It's going to be open at least on 2 sides, if not all 3. Just looking for some, mild protection, not weather tight completely. So when I dig here, the plan is 3 posts, and I'll show the plans here in a bit. But I have a location of 3 posts. One will be there, sort of where the X is, going to be a 4x4 post. One in the middle, and then one at the other end. I have these precast concrete, I think they're commonly referred to as like porch or deck piers. Basically concrete footings, with a sort of a flared footing attached at the bottom. I've never used these before, but they certainly save a lot of work. Like when I put my woodshed in, I used plastic sort of preformed footings that had a flare at the bottom, but you put those in and then you had to pour concrete in the inside of them to finish them off. So those are 4 feet. They do come in 5 feet, at least in our area, but for me, I think 4 feet is just fine. Plus I'm going to have some crushed rock at the bottom of it, so the actual depth that I'm going to dig is probably going to be close to 4.5, 5 feet anyhow. So the concrete I will leave exposed in just an inch or 2, and then we'll put some 4x4s on top of that. As far as underground lines, I do have a couple, but I don't think they'll be a problem. In the corner of the garage here is piping from the outdoor wood boiler that basically goes right here, so that should be far enough away from that. The other one, which is much closer, but I still don't think it'd be an issue, is the water line. The water line sort of scoots right there, just underneath the bucket of the excavator, and goes into the house. So that shouldn't be a problem. Both of those I covered with white styrofoam board insulation, at least around the house, not all the way back to the well. So if I hit white styrofoam, I'll have to be more careful. And even though most of this area in the immediate vicinity of the house here is pretty heavy clay, I think when I dig here I'm going to find a lot of gravel. When we moved into this house and bought it in 1996, the house stopped right there. You can see where the new foundation starts and where the repaired one stopped. This was an old poured one that was decrepit that had to be replaced before we moved in. So basically from the end of the house there was a small porch, but so from here where that grill is, it sort of sloped downhill. So when we put the garage in, a lot of gravel fill was brought in. I think on the order of like 30 trucks. 10-wheeler trucks were brought in to fill this up, so I'm guessing there's going to be a fair amount of gravel. A lot of the backyard I used fill, like when the town cleaned out ditches, that filled that, because this had tapered down quite a bit. It's hard to tell grade on camera, but right here, say right where I stand now compared to the native ground is probably 3 feet, maybe more. You go that way, it's probably 5, 6 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet pretty quickly. And you can see even the level of that garden shed is quite low compared to where we are, and that's more or less native ground. Alright, so the first order of business, after I review the plans for this and sort of what the design is, why it does not come out here, is because I need pitch on the roof. And I have this design for a 4-inch pitch, which is 4-inch drop and a 12-inch horizontal, so it's sort of rise over run, 4-inch over 12-inch. But in order to get that, and I'm planning for 7 feet clearance, neither my wife or I are that tall, so 7 feet is more than enough clearance to go underneath here without hitting our head. That and the structure to get the 4-inch pitch that I want means the roof is going to contact the side of the garage, like up there somewhere, well above this turn back, or whatever that's called for the roof. So that's why we had to move it in. So it's about 5 feet in from the edge of the garage. So the dimensions of this are going to be 12 feet out and roughly 30 feet across. What dictated the actual position of this 30 or so feet is that I have 30 feet of roofing, because the roofing is metal roofing. It comes in 3-foot sections, 3 foot wide. So unless you want to do cutting, then it's best to have a roof that's a multiple of 3. So the roof itself is going to be 30 feet. So on the plans, I'll show where I have to subtract various things to get to the actual structure, which places this here. I forget the exact dimensions, but it's about, I think it's 15 inches shy of 30 feet is where the 4x4 will go on the end. And then the middle will just be a span. So I'll have a span of just under 15 feet here. Okay, so let's review the plans real quickly, and then we'll start digging. This is what the profile of the shed roof will look like. 2x8s would be roof rafters, 16-inch on center, the 4x4 posts, and holding up the bottom end of the roof are 2x10s, and these are full dimension. I established these members with the help of my brother, who was a retired building contractor. Told me what I needed for roofing, for safe load, snow load, and all that stuff. So here's the 4x12 pitch. That sort of dictated with a 1-foot overhang here and a 2x6 or 2x8 trim piece over the end of 166 inches. So that's the length of my roofing, and a ledger board will hold up that. To determine where the 4x4 posts need to go, which is right here, this is the 30-foot roof. So this is the corrugated roofing. So I wanted a 1/2 inch of roofing beyond the end of the trim board. I said a 6-inch, just sort of seemed like a nice round number, 1/2 foot, 6-inch overhang of basically the strapping. The strapping is right here. So the end of the strapping, and then the roof will go on top of that. So the strapping will stick out beyond the end roof rafter 6 inches. So that gives a total of 7.5 inches from the edge of the roof to where the 4x4 post is. So that's what determines the location of the footings. So then this is the footing plan. So that's what we're working on right now, which is these 3 locations. And here's that 172.5 inches from center. And that was determined by that 30 feet minus 7.5 inches on each side, or 15 inches total. So the outside edge of the outer 4x4 post will be this 28 foot 9 inches, and then the center one will just be in the center of it. I think those were part of the fill. I don't think those big rocks were part of the native soil, so they used some really nasty fill. Anyhow, so we can see the fabric. This is filter fabric I put in. Looks like gravel down to about here. And then I'm guessing this dark and stone. There's some wood, so that's probably fill as well. And this gray stuff is, you know, it's the native clay. In fact, it's really nice clay. So yeah, it might be, you know, almost a layer of organic stuff maybe. Another big rock there. So I'm about 4.5 to 5 feet down. I'll level this out, put some crushed rock in, bring it up to probably just under 4 feet, just so the top of those concrete piers will stick above the ground. And then I'll just hand tamp it to get it compacted. So basically that's the center. So it's a 2 foot by 2 foot footing. So I need a foot either way. So I think that's just enough. I can easily do that with a shovel. Yeah, I don't know how I misjudged that so badly. Well, that's plenty deep enough. I don't know if I should take that. I think I'll just leave that rock. Maybe I'll just take another scoop just to clean that stuff off. Well, that hole went a lot better. Maybe I should have put the string up from the first hole so you can see how off-center the first hole is. It's off-center a little bit because I need that just the way the bucket works. It's hard to dig a straight hole with a bucket like this. And then this line here is basically where the center needs to be. So I have probably almost 16 inches of free area around that center. So that'll be good for that. And I did notice the gravel goes a little bit deeper. I think the further away, you know, from the main house we get, the deeper that gravel is going to get. So, and that's where a lot of those big rocks come from. There are some other rocks in the native soil, that gray stuff, but like the big rocks there, pretty sure all those came from the fill dirt that was added. Well, the digging is done. The mess has been made. Just going to dump this last little bit. Looks to be, this is roughly a 5-yard capacity trailer, so I'm guessing probably 2 to 3 yards for each of these holes. The first one is by far the worst. So I know I've had comments in the past, both in winter logging and actually this year working on roads, that I should have ag tires, or at least the comment that ag tires have a lot better traction than these industrial R4s, I think they have, which is true. But if I had ag tires, I wouldn't be able to ride across my lawn like this without making a mess. I mean, these really don't leave much of an imprint at all. The other thing is these have a lot more longevity. They're better off on roads because they just have a lot more rubber hitting the road. A lot more surface area of rubber compared to ag tires, so they don't wear down as fast. But my primary purpose was really because I want to have versatility. I want to be able to ride on a lawn without messing it up. That's really why I got the industrial tires. Alright, so nice bright new morning. 3 holes are dug. What I did is I went around and I basically located the highest spot in this area. It's relatively level, and as you drop off this way, sort of outside of where the roof will be, it drops off quite a bit. So I basically set this to the height that I want the concrete piers to end at. So those piers are 4 feet high, so all I have to do now is add 4 feet. Let's turn that annoying thing off for now. So this is 2 feet 8.5. So if my math is right, that would be 6 feet 8.5. I'll go up here, find 6 feet. I need to extend another one. Oh, and it always works out that way. Right there on the joint where this is not going to work that well. So we'll get it close enough. So this is, I mean, this is not, it does not have to be super accurate. The only purpose of this is I want to keep the 4x4 slightly off ground level. I am going to treat the end of it so it should be relatively rot resistant. And I don't want a lot sticking up because that's unnecessary height. That is just not needed. So it looks like we might be 6 feet 8 and roughly half. So the first hole I'm going to do is over here by the excavator. Now, if my guessing was correct digging this hole, I should have, say, 4 to 6 inches of space before we hear the beep. And yeah, that's about right. So then all I need to do is put in enough crushed rock to get up to that level. Much in, and I can't shove it off to the side, I'll gotta shovel it out. So it's better off being a little bit light than a little bit heavy. Wow, that was luck. I know I'm not skilled at this, so it's gonna be luck. So now I have to locate the center of this inside that empty hole. I'm alone, so it'll be a bit more challenging moving it around. So the dimensions I have are to the outside edge. So this string is 12 feet from the foundation, so that's going to be the outside edge of the pier, not the center. And sort of the same thing here, which is, and I think I'm going to eyeball it and then verify it afterwards. So this should be 56 3/4, which is going to be about there. So what I'm going to have to do is I'll take the string away, I'll set the pier in, and then put the string back up, and then measure it once it's in place, and then just sort of fine tune it as I need to get it in position. I realize it's going to be a lot easier to be close where I can actually see it hitting the bottom. Good. That looks good. The only thing I may do is just try to shove it this way a little bit. So with this, you can, it looks like the outside would be about there. So from center to there is about 2 inches, I'm guessing. So that's about right, because it's going to be a 4x4 that sits on here, not a 6x6. I'm not sure what the dimensions of the top of this are. I'll know momentarily. 6.5 square. So yeah, look at that, it's 2 inches. See, this one here is just more difficult to measure, so this is primarily what I'll tweak if need be. If anything, it might need to go that way a little bit. Now it can go up on this side a bit. So these are not so heavy that you can't manipulate them a little bit. So a couple things. One is I got to get it a bit more level, so it just means putting some more rock underneath here. And this needs to slide this way. So I thought rather than the excavator, which could have also been a reason why I messed up the level, is I think a pry bar against the side of the earth there is going to be a better bet. That's good. And that's good. So yeah, I need to come this way just a bit. Like 2 or 3 inches a bit. Yeah, that actually moves fairly easy. Well, that's as close as I can eyeball it. We're good there. They are all installed. They line up well this way, so the center should be 2 inches to the right of that string, which they all are, I think, very close to that. which means the outside edge of the 4x4 is 12 feet from the foundation. And they're level. This one's a bit low, maybe by 1/4 of an inch, but even if they're off by a 1/2 inch or an inch, it's easy to make that adjustment. Just cutting the posts slightly different so the top of the posts are level. That's the important thing. Really having these level is more aesthetics, just so you don't have one sticking up out of the ground more than the other. But you know, sort of against the lawn and the gravel, you're never going to see that 1/4 or 1/2 inch. The other thing which I decided just to leave as is from the outside of that post to the outside of that post is about 2 inches narrower than my plan. So rather than move each of these out an inch, I'm not sure how that happened because they're both symmetrical. So rather than move that one out an inch and this one out an inch, I'll just adjust the overhang. If you remember from the plans, I had assumed a 6-inch overhang on the ends, which was really just arbitrary. There's nothing special about 6 inches, just 1/2 of a foot. So it was a nice round number, I guess. So instead of 6 inches, it'll be 7 inches on each side, so not a big deal. So the roof will still be 30 feet wide. All right, now I'll go grab some of my fill dirt from my borrow pit, and we'll fill this in and take care of the topsoil. So I'll just fill that in. Probably next year there'll be some divots. Just try to break these big clumps of clay. So I did put bolts on the top of these just to prevent dirt and debris from getting down in the threads. So I want this one here. I think I probably will just fill in with the sod, the grass. That'll make for good grass growing for that little section. And I just want to fill up here, you know, probably about the same level that the old fill dirt was, where the fabric was, and then the rest I'll cover this with some gravel. Do my best to separate the gravel. So with all this sod down here, I'm guessing if I just cover this with topsoil, it'll start growing grass pretty quickly. without having to seed it or anything. That's pretty much the same process I'm going to use for the other 2 holes, so I won't record that. It's just a repeat. So depending on how much of a void here I have where I want the gravel, I'll probably bring just some gravel in the bucket, shovel it out by hand to sort of level this off. Drive over that a couple times, compact it, and same thing with some topsoil. Just bring some in the bucket and spread it out manually. Well, it's probably hard to tell on camera, but when I first put this gravel sort of pad off the back of the garage, it's probably 4 to 6 inches higher than the ground, the grass out here. So I probably won't have enough material now or the desire to finish this up now. But what I'd like to do is sort of fill in this little dip, which is not really a dip, it's just a sharp corner, and just sort of smooth it out now that we know, where the exact boundary is from where the gravel pad will be versus the lawn, and just make it more of a smooth transition instead of sort of an abrupt change. So I'll just back drag this and probably call it good for this year, and then maybe do some more fine tuning next year. I have removed all the junk that was intertwined with the grass and weeds. At least I believe I have. I'm not sure I can see it all. So now we'll get to see if I can remove the organic stuff and leave the gravel without doing a lot of handwork. Well, after several iterations with the tractor and a little bit of handwork, I think it's came up fairly well. So what I don't know yet is what I want to top dress this with. What I plan to do is bring whatever I'm going to lay down here for a ground or a floor about level with this. So, and this is roughly level. It might pitch upward just a bit, which is fine. I'm guessing about 2 to 3 inches of whatever it is I put on top. Well, that was quite an adventure. This is the first experience I've had with this stuff, and it shows. I really thought it would flow out so much easier, but it is sticky, and that's sort of its one of its benefits. That's why it's so useful, because it packs down really well and is somewhat erosion resistant. It's sort of the next best thing you can do to pavement without pavement, I guess. But in my haste of trying to get that out, looks like I clipped the side of our fireplace. So I get to repair that. I think I've only seen one actually busted one. The rest should just sit back into place. Well, hopefully no worse for the wear. I noticed there was some like construction adhesive used between them before. I mean, they're all sort of loose even before I hit them. So I'm not sure how critical that is, but right now it'll just stay put. If I need to do something different later, I will. All right, now to try to spread this out. Well, that was quite a bit more of a struggle overall than I thought it was going to be. Very interesting stuff. It pushed around really easily, but it didn't flow out of the tailgate well at all. So this product is 3/8. It's called Stay Mat here locally. So what it is all granite crushed product, and they just keep crushing it until it's down to 3/8, and then all the rock dust, all the rock dust that's generated from it. This stuff comes in 3/8, 1/2 inch, and 3/4, and you can get basically fine stay mat, which is also called manufactured sand. I guess that's an ingredient in concrete. So it packs really well. I mean, you can feel it. Just walk across it. It feels instantly hard, like something that's already been compacted. So it's not perfect. I think it's a little bit high in the middle. So what I was trying to do is push some stuff off to the side, but for what it's meant for, it should be fine. And then probably not this year, but some point I'll bring some new topsoil up to sort of be even with this. The construction, the dirt part phase of this project is done. So next time we meet will be another video, and we'll start on the carpentry. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.